Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most electric, most misunderstood, and most pivotal moments in history. It's a story you might think you know, but I promise, there's so much more bubbling just beneath the surface. We're talking about the day Jesus entered Jerusalem not as a quiet teacher, but as a king. This isn't just a parade. It's a political statement, a divine prophecy, and a human drama all rolled into one. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's rewind the clock about 2,000 years. Imagine the scene. Jerusalem is buzzing. The city is overflowing, absolutely packed with people from all over the world. Why? It's Passover, the most important festival in the Jewish calendar. The air is thick with anticipation, a mix of religious fervor and political tension. The Roman Empire has a tight grip on the region, and everyone is secretly, or not so secretly, waiting for a Messiah, a liberator, to come and kick the Romans out and restore Israel to its former glory. The atmosphere is a powder keg just waiting for a spark. Meanwhile, just outside the city, Jesus is with his disciples. He's been gaining a massive following. His teachings are revolutionary, and the miracles? They're undeniable. Just recently, he raised a man named Lazarus from the dead. News of that has spread like wildfire, and it's the talk of the town. Is this guy the one? Is he the long-awaited king? The excitement is palpable. So, Jesus tells two of his disciples, "Go into that village over there. As soon as you enter, you'll find a young donkey tied up, one that no one has ever ridden. Untie it and bring it here." Now, this might seem like a random, specific detail, but it's pure genius. It's a direct callback to a prophecy from Zechariah 9:9. Rejoice greatly, daughter Zion. Shout, daughter Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey. Think about that. A conquering king in that era would ride a powerful war horse, a symbol of military might and domination. But Jesus chooses a donkey, a colt, a symbol of peace, humility, and royalty in a different sense, the kind of Mount Solomon, the great king of peace, rode. From the very beginning, Jesus is flipping the script. He's telling the world, I am a king, but not the kind you're expecting. My kingdom isn't about swords and shields. It's about peace and humility. This single choice is a masterclass in symbolic communication. The disciples do as he says. They find the donkey, and just as Jesus predicted, when the owners ask what they're doing, they simply say, "The Lord needs it, and that's enough." They bring the colt to Jesus, throw their cloaks over its back to make a makeshift saddle, and Jesus sits on it. This is it. The procession begins. As Jesus starts his journey down the Mount of Olives toward the city gates, the crowd erupts. This isn't a small group of followers anymore. The people who came to see the man who raised Lazarus, mixed with the Passover pilgrims, form a massive, ecstatic crowd. They start laying their cloaks on the road in front of him. This was the ancient equivalent of rolling out the red carpet, an act reserved for royalty and heroes. Others cut palm branches from the fields and trees and lay them down too. Palms were a national symbol for Judea, a sign of victory and triumph. It was like waving the national flag during a victory parade. They are declaring, loud and clear, that they see him as their king. And then, the chanting begins. They shout, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David. Hosanna in the highest heaven. Let's break that down. Hosanna literally means, save us. Now, it was a plea for salvation, but it had become a shout of praise. They're shouting for their Savior, connecting Jesus directly to the lineage of their greatest king, David. They believe the new kingdom is finally here. For that one moment, on that road, hope was alive. The years of oppression, waiting, and praying seemed to be culminating in this glorious entry. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated joy and expectation. But not everyone was celebrating. The Pharisees, the religious leaders who had been clashing with Jesus for years, were in the crowd, and they were furious. This was a direct challenge to their authority and a dangerous provocation to the Romans. They go up to Jesus and say, "Teacher, rebuke your disciples. Tell them to be quiet." They knew what this looked like. It looked like an insurrection. And Jesus' reply is bone-chilling. He says, "I tell you, if they keep quiet, the stones will cry out." What an incredible statement. He's saying this moment is so cosmically significant, so ordained by God, that if humanity failed to recognize it, creation itself would have to bear witness. This isn't just a popular movement. It's a divine appointment with destiny. As he gets closer to the city, the mood shifts dramatically. Jesus looks over Jerusalem, the beautiful, holy city, and he begins to weep. Right in the middle of his own parade, the guest of honor is crying. The crowd must have been so confused. Why would their conquering king be weeping at his moment of triumph? He says, "If you, even you, had only known on this day what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes." He was crying because he saw what they couldn't. He knew that their idea of a king and his idea of a king were worlds apart. They wanted a military hero. He was offering spiritual salvation. They wanted freedom from Rome. He was offering freedom from sin and death. He knew their hosannas were fickle. He knew that in just a few days, the same crowd shouting, "Save us," would be screaming, "Crucify him." He was weeping for their missed opportunity, for their spiritual blindness. They were celebrating a victory, but he was mourning an impending tragedy, both his own and theirs, as Jerusalem would be destroyed just a few decades later. And so, the king entered his city, not on a war horse but a donkey, celebrated by crowds who completely misunderstood him, and weeping for the very people who praised him. This triumphal entry is one of the most powerful and ironic moments in the entire Bible. It's the beginning of the end, the start of Holy Week, the final, fateful journey to the cross. It teaches us that God's plans often look very different from our expectations. It challenges us to look beyond the surface, to understand the true nature of the kingdom. Jesus came to build a kingdom of humility, service, and sacrificial love. This story isn't just an ancient account. It's a timeless lesson. How often do we shout Hosanna to Jesus when things are going well, only to turn away when his path leads us somewhere uncomfortable, somewhere that requires sacrifice? It's a question worth thinking about. Thanks so much for joining me today to unpack this incredible story. If this resonated with you, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. Drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts on the triumphal entry. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care.